All right, good evening, everybody. We are a little late in starting, but we're all set now. YouTube is up and running, so who would like to begin the check-in this evening? First. Okay.
All right, so I'm Kerfazone, I'm fine. No time constraints, so I'm fine now. We were chatting, I had jury duty today, so I'm much better now than earlier. I have no time constraints. I believe Tony's on, or
Roderick.
He's on his way.
Roderick is on his way. So no one's missing, no elephants. Expectations will be to make more progress.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Frank Kemp. I'm the administrator assigned to SPALC. I'm fine. Time constraint, I have none.
Well, he's asked, so who's missing?
The elephants,
Not that I'm aware of it, so
the rat came out and ran the ball.
an expectation, I don't know if we can come to, a resolution what we're here today for.
Thank you. Operator.
I'm ready.
Kenny's doing well, no time constraints. Roderick is missing for now. No elephants, and I'd like to make more progress.
Good evening, I'm Arlene Williams. I am well, time constraint, 6:15, because I know that if we say early, we get out on time. No elephants, and expectation is to make more progress.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rafael Cruz. I'm doing fine. I have no time constraints. As reason have been noted, no elephants. My expectation is to make more progress.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vivian Hawkins. I'm doing fine. No time constraint, 6:15 for me too also. Missing is noted, no elephants, and expectation met more progress.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike Bennett. I'm fine. I have to be able to make trade at 7 o'clock. Missing is noted, no elephants, and expectations is to make more progress.
I'm Tony Abrams, Royal Palm Exceptional School bookkeeper. I'm good, no time restraints, although I would like to get out of here at 6:15. Mr. Wilson's on his way, no elephants, expectations is to make progress.
Ms. Mike, you gonna keep it or you bringing it around? Okay.
Hi, I'm Rob. I am well. No time constraints. I think we're all here. No elephants, and I would also like to make more progress.
I'm Will Rothenberg. I'm doing well. No time constraint missing, I believe is noted. No elephant. And I will go with come to a resolution as expectation.
Good evening, I'm Heather Leonard. I'm doing well this evening. I don't have any time constraints outside of our ending time of 7. I believe the missing have been noted, no elephants, and my expectations, I'll go with make more progress.
Hi, Kelly Letcher, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and expectations is to make progress.
Kimberly Hutchins, Director of Payroll, I'm good. No time constraints, missing noted, no elephants, and make more progress.
Hello, everybody.
Jason Kurtz. I am doing great. No time constraints. Everyone who's missing has been noted. I have no elephants, and my expectation is to keep the ball rolling.
Hello, I'm Christine Schroed. I'm doing okay. I do have a time constraint of 6:00 p.m. tonight. Missing noted, no elephants, expectations. Let's say come to a resolution.
Good afternoon, my name is Roger Lloyd, I'm doing well. I'm gonna stick with the transportation time constraints. I actually do have to get out of here at 5, so I do apologize. Missing is noted, I do not have any elephants, and I'd like to continue to make progress.
Barbara Cizino, I'm doing well, no time constraint, no elephants, and the expectation is to keep the ball rolling. Thank you.
My name is Candy Messenger, Director of Food Service. I'm doing well, no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is make more progress. Good afternoon, I'm Bonnie, I'm doing well. I do have a time constraint of 5:50 because I have to go to the DAC meeting at 6:00. I haven't figured out how to be in 2 places at once. Missing, I think, has been noted, no elephants, and expectation come to a resolution.
My name is Jamie Broder, I'm great, no time constraints, everybody missing is noted, no elephants, and I like keep the ball rolling.
Shannon Johnston, I'm doing great. I do have to leave by 6:15 tonight. No elephants, and expectations are to come to a resolution.
Helen Martin, I'm doing well. I have no time constraints this evening. Missing has been noted. I have no elephants. My expectations are to make more progress.
Hi, I'm Suzette. I'm doing well. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and my expectations are to come to a resolution.
I think we have everybody. Roderick isn't here yet, so we'll get him when he does come. Amanda, you want to go? Yeah.
I'm doing well. There's been noted, no elephants, and I also like to keep the ball rolling.
All right, and good evening. My name is Donna. I'm doing well. No time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectation is helping you to make progress, come to a resolution, and keep the ball rolling. Yes, Rob.
Although I appreciate the optimism, I don't think we have any other dates scheduled.
Right.
So we probably need to try to do that.
Shall we start off with doing that? You want to start off with the calendar? Okay. I don't think SPALC has any more on the calendar, so what's the pleasure? We want to go back to every other Monday? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I don't think we can do every 2 weeks. I think we have to try to be a little bit more urgent than that. So, I mean, I'm looking at Kerr and his team. Just look at our calendar. I know
Rob, I'm looking at my calendar. I agree with you. I think we should get some more dates on that are possibly not every other week. The only issue with next week is we have town quorum Monday.
Correct.
And town has their executive board meeting Wednesday. And then I'm at an FEA conference Thursday and Friday. So I just don't think next week will work.
Okay,
Can we do the 7th?
yeah, absolutely.
Monday,
Yes.
March 7th?
Yes. So Monday, March 7th.
Monday, March 7th, okay. Everybody involved? Okay. Another date?
Do you want to bargain twice that week?
I'm looking at the
10th?
Yeah, the 10th.
It looks good to me. I don't know about anybody else. Okay.
All right, so we have 2 dates, March 7th and March 10th.
Hopefully that will be enough, but do we want to choose
One more?
one more? 14th or the 17th? Well, 17th is, how about the St. Patrick's Day, so.
How about the 15th? 15th? Is that
What's
that
that?
may be a board meeting day? I'm only saying that.
No, it's not a board meeting day.
I'm anticipating Cal being the 14th, perhaps, I'm not sure. 15th work? And then that puts us right into spring break.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 15th works.
Okay. So we have March 7th, which is a Monday, March 10th, which is a Thursday, and March 15th, which is a Tuesday,
Correct,
right?
yes.
Okay. All right. Then we have 3 days with a goal of March 15th being the absolute last, right? Okay. All right, so where do we want to head next? I know you came to some agreements last week, and I do have one of the options up here about the PD option to adopt proposed language and return to discuss compensation. Do we need to start there, or do you want to start somewhere else? Rob?
Well, I wasn't here last time, so I thought there was at least some good conversation and a possible way to resolve the MOU, the ESSER MOU regarding the retention bonus, attendance bonus, whatever we're choosing to call it.
Okay.
And if you want to start there, that's up to SPALC.
Do you want to start there, Kerr?
It doesn't matter to me, I thought we were starting with PD, because we have Dr. Martin with us tonight.
We can start with PD. I'm fine with that.
Okay, then we'll start with PD. Where would we like to start? Do you want to play off that option that was up there, or, because I know housekeeping was on that option as well. Or did you have specific questions for Dr. Martin?
Looking to, maybe to Will on how to proceed, but the option that was passed was, we adopted the draft language, that we put some housekeeping items up there, and that there was still some discussion on compensation later. The $15 an hour, or whatever was in there, was more of a placeholder.
Right. That's what I had, that's what was on the charts. So, Will?
No, this is our.
So I can do my best to try and recap. I'm on page 17 of 18 of the minutes. I should have them to everyone today. We had a quick turnaround with the long weekend in there, thanks to Teresa. But I believe that, like Kerr mentioned, there was an option, I think, put out there by SPALC to look at a training rate of $15 per hour. We didn't have Dr. Martin here to talk about what grant funding covers training for support staff. I think there was or does not. There was a question also about utilization of professional development by support staff. We talked a lot about, obviously, some of the different options that people may not have been aware of, like some of the EAP trainings and that kind of stuff. But I don't know, other than the compensation piece and some of the housekeeping around some mandatory training stuff in Article 6, I'm not sure if there was anything specifically that anyone wanted to ask Dr. Martin or hear directly from her, but I know that she can speak more to some of the background and maybe has done a little bit more digging into some of that based on what was discussed last time.
I guess I'm looking down at my team if anyone has any questions for Dr. Martin about PD. There was some discussion in our caucus about the applicability of course offerings to jobs, classifications, some discussion around the Lean Six Sigma, and having a more deliberate focus on support staff options.
Okay. Did you hear all that, Helen, or?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, well, we agree, we have a common interest in terms of making more robust PD offerings for SPALC, as well as some of the tentative language that you all agreed to last time included a survey of SPALC staff to determine kind of the top rated professional learning needs, and then utilizing whatever resources we have available to really provide some targeted PD to SPALC staff based off of their responses to the survey. We gave an instructional survey for talk staff in December, and we had a great response rate and really good feedback. So I'm just waiting to one of our new team members to come on board next week in order to kind of start the same process for the SPALC staff as well. And then in terms of, I believe this is my 5th year in professional development, and through that time I've only received really a handful of applications to utilize the SPALC training incentive. And part of it is there hasn't been a lot of PD opportunities available, or the form has been difficult, and I know we've worked through SPALC labor management to streamline the form, to utilize electronic submission of the form, so that way individuals can more easily access that incentive, as well as looking at if there are available grants or maybe opportunities to increase that stipend beyond, I believe it equates to around $5 an hour for the PD that would be completed for that, in order to, really allow people to maximize that incentive.
Okay, anything else you need from that may clarify enough for everybody? Okay, yeah, all right. Anything over here? Rod?
I wasn't here last time, but what's up there? Is there an option up there?
Yep. We can turn it around. Bring it around.
For the purposes of, it said housekeeping on there, I think, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use that word. For the purposes of housekeeping, we need a caucus quick. I hate to do that, but
Okay, that's all right.
just to straighten some things out on our side.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
You guys need to caucus? No? You want to go in the room? Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so we talked about professional development and the issue of, the amount of money, because from what I understand, the language that was agreed upon last time was just language, there was nothing in there about financial aspects. So 10.03D3 is the provision that talks about how one might be paid for PD through SPALC. And if we were to change that, the money obviously would have to come out of the larger bargaining pot to pay for that. So what we would like to do, because we recognize the significant need for PD for support staff. And it is something, since I came on board in September, that I've talked to my staff in HR about training for staff other than instructional staff. So we would like to look into this issue and bring a recommendation back in our next bargaining session, not next session like next week, next year or whenever we bargain again, because we may have a multi-year agreement, I don't know. So I didn't want to say next year necessarily, but next year could be as soon as 4 or 5 months away. So that's our where we're at as a result of the caucus.
Okay, so issue of money bring back in another future session. Okay, any response?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm amenable to discussing that at another time. We were, I guess, during the caucus, we were having a sidebar around, like you said, Rob, the importance of extending training opportunities to not just instructional staff. So I know that is a conversation that our team is very willing to have, and whether that's in a couple of sessions from now, that's fine.
So, Rob, were you saying just a couple of sessions from now, or for the next
No, I was talking about the
bargaining?
next round of bargaining. What
Yeah,
I
the
would like
next
to
round
do-
of bargaining.
So to that end, to clarify, I would just like to put relative to 10.03D3 status quo.
Okay, that would be an option then.
Correct.
That we could. No, it would be another option. Let's put it up here. And it would be a new one simply. So it's just status quo for that article, right? Yes. Okay. So we have an option for status quo for the PD article 10.030D3.
10.03D3.
10.03D3. Not a zero here. 10.03D3. Okay, anything? Anybody?
So that's just a compensation piece relative to professional development, the 125 hours. That I think, unless anybody else from the team has any questions, I think we need a quick caucus before we vote on the option. I mean, this is in Article 10, so and part of me thinks that we could deal with this like you said, if it comes out of the same pot, we could deal with this when we get to Article 10, but I would like to chat with the team.
All right.
Yeah, sure. All right, so I'm sorry, we needed some time to do a recap. Because it's, a lot has happened since we were here at the table last. And in our caucus, we looked back at our interests, retention around appropriate compensation for work performed. We looked at the option, which included some housekeeping, adopting draft language, and discussing compensation later. And we're a little surprised that the compensation piece is being tied to the overall pot of money. I guess we thought this was somewhat separate. I mean, he was touted to be, a priority of the district, and it was mentioned that 10.03D3 was such a low rate that something had to be done about it. I mentioned at the time that it wasn't an option, but that maybe we should look at $15 an hour for a good starting rate. Housekeeping is getting different portions of the contract, those affected articles and moving them into Article 14. I mean, I don't think that having an option of putting status quo on this compensation piece is really housekeeping. So I think out of our caucus report, I guess this is another option. We would prefer to discuss this with the rest of Article 10 when we get to Article 10. We would prefer to talk about the training rate when we get to Article 10.
Rob?
Well, and that's fine, and I apologize if there was a misunderstanding of housekeeping. I wasn't here last time when that was put up there, so I thought we were talking about that provision regarding paying for PD. So I'm fine with talking about that as a total compensation issue or with Article 10. I don't even know if we need to have a straw design. I mean, we'll talk about 10 when we get there, so.
Is you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let us get rid of some of this paper. And where would we like to move to next? We had MOUs on the agenda. Is that the next one?
Yeah, I think it's our desire to move to the retention attendance MOU, $1,000, and then the additional $1,000 based on a formula or some type of incentive, if you will.
All right, are you ready to dive into that?
Let's dive.
All right. Have we gotten all the story out on that incentive? I believe we've had quite a bit of story on it. So I think we might be ready to move on a little further, but we'll give you a chance to look at your notes, Kerr. Somebody else says something. Rob, anything? No. Kerr?
I can recap myself and maybe all of us at the same time. So I know that there was some discussion around whether this was a one-time payment in terms of a bonus or a supplement. And we were educated as to what the law is, that supplement means additional work, in additional time, and that this is not what that is. This would have to be classified as a one-time payment. And there was discussion around only looking at sick and personal leave, not looking at vacation leave. That was to reflect the service of the 255 employees who may have already put in vacation requests, since they have to do so between January and March of each year, and perhaps even adding some additional days. That Friday, June 17th date is a 4-day work week, and I think there may have been another problem date in there somewhere. I'm sorry?
June 3rd is the day after school.
June 3rd as well, yes.
Yes.
So we had the opportunity to have further conversation prior to the session today, and we've come up with sort of a different possible way to pay the additional $1,000. First of all, I just want to make it known that the intent is to recruit and retain staff and to have people working. So we also would need to include language in the MOU to define who would receive the initial $1,000. Just saying employed, we don't believe is enough. So we would suggest language such as payroll active, actively working, which would clearly delineate from those on leave and those actively working, because we need, the purpose of this is to have people working due to the conditions on the ground. So having said that, our proposal, which essentially is an option, is
option.
And I just want it to be known that there's 56 student days left in this school year. So we're talking school days. You can earn a bonus of $1,000 if you miss 5 days or less prior to June 3rd. Now, we may have to wordsmith that. I'm just kind of blurting out words, but.
Right, understood. It's just an option.
And the last day for students is, the last day for students is June 2nd.
Okay. So it would be June 2nd instead of 3rd, or June 3rd?
Correct. And this would be only sick days. So you can't, if you take more than 5 sick days between now, another way to put it is if you take more than 5 sick days between now and June 2nd, you would not be eligible for the $1,000.
Okay, and does that sick day include personal leave as well?
No.
Okay, just sick.
The draft language that we've been looking at also had a carve out for COVID-19 leave, FMLA. Are we still talking about carving all that out? So
yes.
The only days that would count against you, I guess, in terms of this proposal would be
if you take six sick days between now and June 2nd, you would not get the money. Correct.
Okay, out of 50
days, Kelly,
out of 56 student days left, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And just so you know, we're using student days because those are the days we need people at work.
Correct.
Obviously. We'd like everybody to be at work other days, but when students are present, those are the most important days.
Okay, any questions on that option? Clarification needed?
questions. Rob, just so I make sure we're clear, the first $1,000, I guess with this draft language is what I'm calling it, that is remaining unchanged?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, wait for the mic. All right, Vivian.
There's a professional wife that's gonna, is it on?
It's in and out, okay.
Paraprofessional wife is having a baby, and he'll be taken off, and sometime in March, they'll be expecting the baby to arrive. Now, how would he fit into that? Because he might take off 5 or 6 days just to be with her, till she get back on her feet. How would that?
Well, those are the difficult situations, right? I mean, Yeah, I mean, if he has personal days, he should take most of those as personal days, so, but we know and we're aware there's gonna be circumstances where people have to take more than 5 days. But the purpose of doing this is so people are, trying to give an incentive so people are at work. But I recognize, we all recognize that people are gonna have life circumstances that could come up.
But she's a teacher, he's a parent. So she's gonna be taking off and he's gonna be working. Okay. But he's taking a personal day? Okay.
And remember, this is just for this year.
Right.
That's all we're talking about.
That's right,
The
to the
remainder
end
of
of the
this
year.
school year. This isn't going to keep going on until it gets into the contract. This is an MOU. So any other questions or clarifications needed? Please.
So that means the dates has gone away, right? All of those dates that we had, they no longer exist.
Correct.
Under this option. Right. Okay. So, since, have we talked about dates that it'll be paid?
We haven't. Obviously, that would be determinative as to when we have an agreement. I look to payroll and budget down the line here to help us out with that. Kim just said we have to circle back on that, so.
I realize that we're talking about, school personnel here. But what about those that are 12 months that are maxed out? I have 360 hours.
No, this doesn't apply to vacation time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or clarifications needed?
I think we need a caucus for that.
Actually, I have one motion.
All right, Ken? After Ken.
I apologize. I just wanted to get a clarification. If I recall right in the contract, personal time is out of sick time, correct?
Yes.
So how would that work any different, or how are we planning on any of that?
I'm not certain what the question, Kelly, do you know? Okay.
All right, Kelly?
So personal time has to be requested and approved, so that's how we see this differently. You get so many personal days that you can use, or so many sick days that you can use as personal. We're saying if you ask for those personal days and they're approved by your supervisor, we're not gonna hold those personal days against you. So this is only days that are reported as sick days. So when you're filling out your leave, you mark personal, which would be the difference between the two. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or clarifications before you caucus? Okay. You're good? Okay.
Thank you.
Again, Amanda had to leave, so we have a new recorder, and this is her first time, so be kind. I told her, no worries. So, Kurt, can we have a caucus report, please?
Sure thing. So we had a robust conversation in our caucus room. That seems to be my word. And I think the flavor of our caucus was that under this option, it would be a whole lot easier to explain to folks, what they would be getting, and it would be a whole lot easier for people to actually understand it instead of having to count different dates. There is a concern on our side about the dates that they would be paid. We would like to see the first payment on the 15th of June and the second payment on the 30th of June, so that it all happens in this fiscal year, because there is a large concern from many of our members on our side that payment for this year's work should be in this fiscal year. I think that was
That's
our
it?
caucus report, yeah.
Okay, so let's go over here and see what.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that we could actually do the first one before that, before 6:15.
Do we have a general?
So March 15th, is that what I'm hearing?
What do you guys think? The Brain Trust is collaborating over here. $331.
331 for the first payment, would that be acceptable?
All right, I just want to reiterate a couple of things. Actively working. Okay?
Payment received.
Actively working. So that doesn't mean a person on leave gets the $1,000. I just want to make that clear. They have to be actively working on 331. Okay. And we'll put that in the MOU, obviously.
Rob, can you speak to if someone's on leave that day, on vacation, you mean not on family medical leave, or no, we've carved that out?
Carve that out. I'm talking a leave of absence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Extended leave.
Correct.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Not paid leave.
Okay.
Unpaid.
Okay,
Hold on, because
sure.
Kim and Kelly are.
Yeah.
Need to have a little caucus.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Devil's in the details.
Together?
Yeah, we'll check.
Roger left. I don't know what Will is. There he is. All right, report please.
Sure. Regarding some of the details we were talking about, we tried to refine them. And, all right, so the first thing, and team here, if I don't cover everything, please chime in. The individuals to be paid on March 31st have to be payroll active or / actively working. And payroll active is a term of art used in payroll. So they basically are synonymous terms, but we want them both to be in there. They have to be payroll active or actively working on March 15th to be paid on March 31st. And then for that piece, there would be no carve out for FMLA, or is that for the second piece? Help me out. Right, so for those on FMLA, under the $1,000 bonus in March, upon return to work with no break in service, those on FMLA would receive the bonus. So they will receive it on 3/31. And that's Family Medical Leave Act leave, because that's protected under federal law. And then Sure. So those on family medical leave on March 15th would not be paid on March 31st. They would be paid upon their return to work, so long as they had no break in service. They would get the $1,000. Right, return from FMLA leave, I'm sorry. And then the second date, which of course is based on attendance, that would be paid on July 15th, but it's the same fiscal year because we have a 2-week holdback. So technically it's for the 15th to the 30th of June to be paid on July 15th. And I know that's a couple weeks later than we talked about, but that's, payroll has asked for that for the purposes of figuring all of this out.
Right. Okay.
Which I will also state, for those that aren't paid over 12 months, it'll essentially be an additional payday in the middle of July. And we're aware that bus drivers don't get paid over the summer, but we will make an additional payday for them on July 15th.
Okay. Let me put over here. All right. Anything else to add, Rob?
I think we got it.
Okay. Any questions, clarifications over here? Yes, Tony. Oh, wait for the mic, because we gotta get you on YouTube, you know.
Okay. With that being said, the second payment will be July the 15th. How will that affect the contract as far as it being a new contract starting July the 1st?
It's a good question. This is an MOU, so it's not going to be language in the contract. This will be a memorandum of understanding that we will sign hopefully in the next few days, because that's when we will start the clock on the 5 days of sick leave. Right now, there's 56 student days. We'll probably be down to 54 or 53 by the time we get the MOU signed, so. But this would not be part of the actual contractual agreement. It's a memorandum of understanding separate from this. And it's still this fiscal year because it's from June 15th to June 30th. Remember, the district holds back or pays in arrears, so, yeah.
All right, any other questions or clarifications? Okay. All right, so we have several options up here. We have school days, $1,000 if you miss 5 days or less prior to June 2nd. Only sick days, it does not include personal days, to include student days through the remainder of the school year, which we said were 56, and by the time everything's signed, we figured 54 maybe. But the main thing is student days for the remainder of the school year. The second option is first payment would be received March 31st, but must be payroll active or actively working on March 15th. Those on FMLA leave on March 15th will receive the bonus upon return to work with no break in service. All right so far?
Return to work from FMLA leave, correct?
Right. Okay. Let's flip the page. And then the second payment would be based on attendance and will be paid on July 15th. Correct. All right, okay. Ken?
This is just a clarification question, which not sure if this would ever happen, don't know. So with this, someone goes out on FMLA or they're having a baby, they're out on FMLA through the end of the school year, but they don't come back until August. How is that gonna work?
We discussed that, and we didn't want to limit it to this year, so they would get paid in August.
No, I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Good question.
Okay, that's your answer, Ken?
So long as it's a return from family medical leave, not another type of leave. Just want to make that clear.
Okay, my question is this. Since our second thousand is going to be paid in the next fiscal year, is it any way, is this going to be contributed to benefits for the next fiscal year?
So that payroll, the 715 payroll, is actually, this is probably way more than you need to know, but it's accrued back into the current fiscal year, so it's really all part of this fiscal year. So the 715 payroll that's paid is never part of the next fiscal year.
Okay, I understand it's to cover specific dates that you worked still in this fiscal year.
Correct.
What I'm talking about is next year when we come to the table, I don't want someone to say, well, we've already paid you $1,000 this year.
No, it is for this fiscal year only. It will not be anything for next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other things to add? Okay. What, Rod, do you have something?
No, I just have a straw design.
Okay.
If I don't know the numbers, so.
That's what I was just gonna go through. We have, two options. So the first one is the first one before all the caucuses, about the $1,000 if you miss 5 days or less. The second one is about the payments we were just discussing.
Okay.
Okay? So we have a straw design. Let's write straw design.
So by straw design would be 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Straw design A.
Okay. Any other straw designs? Any other options? Last call? We ready to vote? All right, may I see thumbs if you want to accept the straw design for 1 and 2, options 1 and 2. Up means you agree, side means you can live with it, down means you can't agree. All right, we are good, yes. Nice job, orange circle. All right, let us get rid of this paper. Well, we're getting rid of the paper, where are we going next?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I asked my team and they said home, so.
Well, and I heard a bunch of 6:15.
So it's
6 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't know if Kerr has his team.
Kerr's thumb is going up.
Okay. I mean, I hate to use an hour that we could use, but we're not prepared necessarily to talk about anything in earnest tonight anyway, so. We thought this would take longer, so it didn't, so congratulations to everybody.
I'm fine with that, Rob.
All right, well, then, those of you who wanted to finish early, you have your wish granted. And our next date we set up was March 7th. March 7th, 4 o'clock here. Enjoy your early evening. And those of you who are still working on your computers, you can close them now and go home and do some more work.